Welcome to Coworker Radio here on KZSB 1290 AM. I'm Catherine Raymock.
And I'm Jane Walker-Wood.
And we're a show all about the modern entrepreneur. Each week we interview company founders. We want to thank our sponsors, Impact Hub, also Montecito Bank Trust.
And Laurel Sykes is with us here today. And Laurel is the Community Reinvestment Act Officer at Montecito Bank Trust. And she can tell us all about rebuilding efforts in Santa Barbara and Montecito and give advice to businesses on how to survive this downturn.
Also, Caleigh Hernandez is going to be here. She is the founder of RoHo Gorgeous Shoes that make a difference. She has a really interesting background. Went to Northwestern University, but after that she accepted a Princeton in Africa fellowship and worked in the International Rescue Committee in Kenya, and will tell you about the tie-in with her shoes. It is fascinating. So they will both be here this hour. Right now, we like to spend some time talking about some business news, national, international, and since our fires and debris flow, we have been focusing on some local news as well.
Yeah, I was just reading today that after the disruption of a disaster such as the Thomas Fire and mudslides, 40% of small businesses go under. Now, that's according to statistics from the Federal Emergency Management Agency. So the Women's Economic Ventures, which is a local group, is stepping up to the plate with 2 full-time employees devoted to business assistance and marketing programs. So you might want to contact them.
Yeah, that is a great deal. The Emergency Center, which is multifaceted, is set up on Coast Village Circle, right, in Montecito, and lots of resources there. But you just showed me it's basically a one sheet. It's a small brochure, and it came from California State Assemblywoman Monique Limon, and it has information about where you can call for various things that I actually hadn't thought about. For instance, lost identification in vehicle documents. Say you don't have it, or trying to locate your car, for instance, which some people
that's true. Some cars are missing.
Still are.
I always keep my documents in my car.
Yeah. So also FEMA, although I believe that the deadline for that has passed, so hopefully. But debris removal, also assistance for seniors, tax relief, all kinds of different information. And so we'll find out where you can download this. It looks like it is caloes.ca.gov, and you can find out all that information there.
Sounds good. Now, this is a little sad news for the Women's Economic Ventures, which we were talking about earlier. It is the only assistance group that did not get funding as a capital project from the Santa Maria Council this year. So very sad, because the WEV clients do provide revenue to the city and strengthen the local economy through the taxes that their clients are paying.
I actually went through the weave classes some years ago. It was when I was first into golfing, and I wanted to open a women's golf shop somewhere in Santa Barbara because the women's golf clothes were so horrible in most of them.
Well, and it's now not just for women. This new federal emergency program they're doing is for men and women.
All right, other business news. It was just last week we were talking about the absence of Mark Zuckerberg speaking and how that was not working for the Facebook CEO. Well, he's kind of done an about turn. As you know, he took out a large ad, and also it looks like he is going to be dealing with Capitol Hill. So there are a number of news reports that say he is planning to testify before Congress about his company and how it collects its user data. CNN is citing sources saying that the Facebook founder has come to terms with the fact that he's going to have to face lawmakers in a matter of weeks. So,
well, apparently Elon Musk of Tesla is on the bandwagon of delete Facebook.
Yes, and last week it was Jim Carrey, which I thought was kind of funny.
I think it sounds like some great publicity for them. So. Oh, Bank of Montecito, one of our sponsors, last week had their 43rd anniversary of annual anniversary grants, and the bank every year chooses 10 nonprofits to receive a $2,000 grant, plus a promotional video from Cox Communication. So thank you to them.
Yeah, they have the local banking down so well. We're actually going to be speaking with somebody from Montecito Bank Trust coming up today in a little bit. I don't know if you know this, but Apple is looking to get back into schools, and they launched a product yesterday. One expert saying it's going to be a little bit of a tough sell at the cash register.
Well, that's why I worried it'd be more expensive than the other ones.
inexpensive. It's a new iPad, and it does feature some things that last year's model doesn't. But the price tag for public is $329, but for schools, $299. Still,
I'm sure parents are thrilled to hear this news.
Still about $100 more than the Google Chrome's operating system.
Wow.
And by the way, I was talking with a teacher where the kids are using these pads in school, and they are breaking the firewalls in a matter of moments, even the little kids, and because really you're not supposed to be able to log on to anything other than is the schoolwork. Well, that is theory only. It doesn't work. I would not want to be a teacher.
Well, the other thing that's strange, because I have been to the classrooms and all the kids are sitting around looking down at the iPads, and the teacher basically makes it around the circle, but nobody's interacting with each other, which
I don't like that. This particular, the Apple product actually has a stylus, so there at least is a pen involved.
Okay. Now, I have an interesting story regarding co-working. Brexit uncertainty is bolstering the popularity of co-working in Britain. According to a new study, now the largest occupier of office space in London after the government is WeWorks at 2.6 million square feet, almost twice as much as Google. And in 2017, 21% of all office letting was co-working space. Triple from the year before.
So
21%.
Growing probably, faster than we had anticipated when we first started.
We covered like last week that in Miami it was 2.1%, and that was the highest of any of our cities.
Yeah. Hey, we're going into Easter, although we were out the other night with several of our friends. I think 2 or 3 of them didn't know it was Easter coming up on Sunday. That was you. Well, when you don't have kids, it does.
But I like chocolate.
It's the first time it's fallen on the 1st of April in I don't know how many years. But so just so you know, about 81% of Americans celebrate Easter, spending an average of $150.
Wow, that's a lot of Cadbury chocolates.
Eggs and all kinds of other things. And each year manufacturers, just so you know, produce 90 million chocolate Easter bunnies. And yes, most people do eat the ears first. You?
I didn't know that. No. I actually like to suck out the caramel from the inside of the egg.
Was that too much information?
Yes.
Good picture, though. All right, this is Co-work Radio here on KZSB 1290 AM. We're going to take a short break, but after the break, you want to hang around because we have UCSB professor and business author John Greathouse. He is going to be here to answer your questions, and you can get those questions in by going to our website at coworkradio.com. You're listening to Co-work Radio here on KZSB 1290 AM. We'll be right back.
What's that?
This? The newest online business banking around.
Can you initiate wires and approve transfers?
Yes.
Pay bills?
Check.
Cash management?
Of course.
All business, all online, all on your phone.
You bet. My computer, too. It's Montecito Bank Trust's new business online banking. It works as hard as I do.
Huh. Montecito Bank Trust.
You got it. Montecito Bank Trust. Behind every great community is a great bank. Montecito.bank. Member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Dan Farrick, Managing Director of the Impact Hub Santa Barbara. Come visit us and find out why co-working spaces are booming. Our 2 locations in the Funk Zone and downtown Santa Barbara offer private offices, permanent desks, and a variety of co-working memberships starting as low as $60 a month. Mention Co-work Radio when you book our tour, and we'll give you 10% off your first 6 months of membership. Join a community where you can live and work smart. Go to impacthubsb.com or call 284-0078 to find out more.
Welcome back to Co-work Radio here on KZSB 1290 AM. I'm Catherine Raymock.
And I'm Jane Walker-Wood.
And you just hurt yourself with the headphones there. I actually have done that before, which is why I laugh. Not at your pain.
They hit you that hard.
All right, we are sitting, and John thinks it's kind of funny, too. John Greathouse in studio with us. He is here every week to answer your questions. He's a UCSB professor, business author, and serial entrepreneur himself as well. And John, how are you doing?
Great. How about you?
Good. We have a question from Sandy.
Oh.
She says, I have a tech company that could really help the environment.
How do I go about finding some government funds or subsidies?
I love government funds. I do. I don't like giving the government funds, but I like getting it. No. So one of the companies that I was fortunate to be involved with here in Santa Barbara was called Computer Motion, and we actually survived for the first couple of years strictly on government grants. And government grants have a very important role in our economy. They typically, when they're applied appropriately, they're helping companies that are just too early for investors. Investors want results, they want revenue, they want silly things like customers. And so there's a phase there before you get to that where the government can see some talented individuals that maybe have some unique and novel ideas, and they can fund those ideas. And so with Computer Motion, again, for a couple of years, we were almost exclusively surviving on grant money. So those grants are called SBIR, Small Business Investment grants. And what's wonderful about them is you don't have to give any equity. You don't have to give any residual licensing payments to the government. And you own all the intellectual property.
So there's no strings attached.
There literally are no strings attached.
What's the criteria, though? It must be very strict.
Well, let me back up. Yeah. The criteria is very strict, and the only strings, there are strings, but they're not financial. You do have fairly, government onerous level reporting requirements. So we had to hire a part-time person to track silly things like tracking people's hours, and they obviously are doing it because they don't want people to defraud the government. But it's sort of like rules from the 1960s. But it's worth it if you're going to we got millions of dollars without having to give up any equity, and those millions of dollars we paid a person part time to fill out a bunch of silly reports, and we owned all our intellectual property. In fact, we gave a robot. We were building robots. We actually gave a robot to Jet Propulsion Lab. They were one of the organizations that gave us money, and it was in their lobby for years. So they felt like for millions of dollars, they got a robot. It was awesome.
I'm sure the government hopes you'll be successful, and then they'll get their money back in taxes from you.
And that's really it. I mean, I'm sure that there's some slides for many years that showed our company. We were successful. We went public, and we sold the company for a decent amount of dough. And so I'm sure there were slides and some government deck that said, look what we did here with this robotic company. And in fact, I think we've talked about it in the past segments, surgical robotics has revolutionized medicine, and that started at Computer Motion, the first company to do that. Yeah, so the government did a good thing there. There's a couple of resources here in the Santa Barbara area, and all the way down to L.A. There's the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. So you guys, I forgot the person's name that asked the question. Apologize.
Sandy.
Sandy, apologize for that. You can look up the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. They have wonderful programs for folks that want to help the environment. There's also a website called America's Got Grants. It lists just thousands of grants. Try to find the ones that really fit. Don't do the shotgun approach of writing a million grant proposals that are errant. Find the ones that are really targeted to what you are going to do, because oftentimes they don't get a lot of submissions.
Is there a good grant writing book to help?
I'm sure there's online guides. It's been so many years since I wrote a grant. There is a formula. It's like a screenplay. I know you're very familiar with screenplays. There is a formula that you want to follow because there's a certain look they want to see, and you don't want to do something that's going to catch them off guard. But I don't know the names of them offhand, but I'm sure online you could find something.
Yeah, and you could probably hire a grant writer to work along with you.
I don't think you need to.
No?
I think, again, push through that.
We're assuming these people don't have any money, or they wouldn't be asking for grants.
The reason I would hesitate there is if you're going to have a grant writer, you're going to have to translate your idea to that person. I'd rather you maybe not have a perfect grant, but have that passion and that firsthand account in those words, as opposed to it's sounding formulaic. Like maybe you hire somebody and they have a template and a lot of their words are generic, and then you come across as a generic grant. So I'd rather it be a little maybe out of tune, but it's your song.
Do you find that some of the entrepreneurs that you work with don't even know that there are government grants available? Because it wouldn't be the first thing you would think of.
No, I think they, rightfully so in some regards, they've been maligned with the Small Business Administration is not the easiest organization to work with. So I wouldn't necessarily go down and seek SBA money, but I would seek DARPA money, JPL money, these SBIR grants. So if you're, if a project really is science-based, I think there are funds out there.
There are also a lot of accelerators where, if Heather Hochran, do you remember her? She was on with the EV match, and she was able to get a grant through I think it was a women's accelerator.
And the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator has funds available as well that'll get you off the ground. So absolutely.